What's happening, people? Is your daily Tottenham news, headlines and transfer window update with me, Harry Scarfe, football content creator, YouTuber and football writer. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for calling this opportunity, and like and subscribe if you're new. Let's get straight into it. So if I'm familiar with how it works, we go over one or two articles and really dissect them. So the article I want to go over is from BBC Sport, and the headline is "Son makes an emotional Spurs farewell. How much will they miss him?" For context, Heung-min played his last ever match for Tottenham today, and it was an emotional goodbye in the draw against Newcastle in South Korea. So it's written by Harry Paul, BBC Sports journalist, on the 3rd of August in the afternoon. Starts with Son Heung-min made an emotional farewell as he played what is expected to be the final game of his Tottenham career in front of his adoring home supporters in Seoul. The South Korean forward was embraced by his Spurs teammates and the opposing Newcastle players, and they performed a guard of honour when he was substituted in the 65th minute. Having handed the captain's armband to Ben Davies, the 33-year-old Son was welcomed off the pitch by the backroom staff and substitutes before he took his place on the bench, resting his head in his hands as he fought back the tears. Newcastle manager Eddie Howe said the reaction was instinctive from my players. That speaks volumes about him. It's not just the talent he has, but the way he's carried himself over the years. He's seen as one of the game's great Premier League players. Son said on Saturday that he had made the most difficult decision of his career, choosing to leave Spurs after 10 years. The pre-season friendly finished 1-1 in the Seoul World Cup Stadium. Son said, "I didn't think I was going to cry at first, but after hearing a few words from my teammates leaving the club I spent so much time with, felt really tough. I felt really happy playing this match, thanks to my fans, my teammates and also my opponents. I've had an unforgettable day. My career is not over yet and I want to continue to bring joy. I know I have more things I want to accomplish as a football player." There was an injury concern for Tottenham manager Thomas Frank after midfielder James Maddison was taken off on a stretcher only 10 minutes after coming on. Frank said, "Sometimes in life, football things can be beautiful and brutal." That's what we got today. It looks like a bad injury for Maddison, and then on the other side, unbelievable scenes from Son, from his teammates, and the respect from the Newcastle players. First we had the walk around, and then the teammates gathered around, and he was emotional. In the changing room, it's more of the same. I just said a few things, but not too much about Sonny. Then he said a few things. It was beautiful. Son became the most expensive Asian signing in the Premier League history when he joined Spurs from Bayer Leverkusen for about £22 million in 2015. A club legend, he helped Spurs to end their 17-year wait for a trophy in May, captaining them to victory over Manchester United in the Europa League final. Son is in advanced negotiations with Major League Soccer side Los Angeles FC. Frank, who said during a press conference on Saturday that saying a goodbye in South Korea would provide a beautiful ending for Son. After the match, that it was very likely to be Son's last game because the move is very close. Spurs play Bayern Munich in Germany on Thursday and contest the UEFA Super Cup against Paris Saint-Germain the following week. The expectant crowd in Seoul cheered excitedly whenever Son touched the ball. Brennan Johnson even paid tribute to Son back up in his celebration, in which he mimics taking a photo after he opened the scoring from the edge of the penalty area in the 4th minute. Harvey Barnes equalised for half-time, beating keeper Anthony Kinski at the near post. Next part of it, subheading is how much will Spurs miss Son. Son's statistics speak for themselves. 173 goals, the 5th highest for Spurs, and 101 assists in 454 games, which is 127 Premier League goals, the joint 16th highest in the competition's history. He holds the Spurs record for Premier League assists with 71, and in 21-22 season he became the first Asian player to win the competition's Golden Boot when he shared with Liverpool's Mohamed Salah on 23 goals each. After Spurs' record goal scorer Harry Kane moved to Bayern Munich in 2023, Son scored 17 goals and recorded 10 assists in 35 league games the following season. Last season was the first in which Son, the club's 3-time Player of the Year, failed to reach double figures for league goals since his debut campaign as Spurs finished one place above the relegation zone. But goals should not be the only metric by which Son's influence is measured. His 0.38 assists per 90 minutes in the league last term was his best return yet, as was his 0.68 big chances created per 90, the 5th highest in the league last season of players to play over 1,000 minutes. Perhaps the most telling stats are those which point to his impact on the rest of the team. Spurs won 42% of their 24 league games Son started in 24-25 campaign, compared to just 7% without him, failing to win 13 of the 14 matches without their captain. Given Spurs averaged 2.1 goals and 1.4 points per game with Son starting, and only 1.0 goals and 0.4 points per game in his absence, Frank will need top players to step up, including summer signing Kudus of 55 million, who replaced him on Sunday. Wow, just the last few days have been really surreal. It feels now real. We've got a further update from Fabrizio Romano, who says, Italian journalist, he reports that he's given here we go, and just said it's really, really close now, that it's pretty much done, but announced. So yeah, it feels right to move on, definitely the right thing to do, but it's just so sad, it's a proper legend here, Mr. Tottenham, through and through. Next, the other article I want to read, the second to out to, is from Sky Sports, and it's to do with James Maddison. The headline is James Maddison's injury. Tottenham Hotspur midfielder stretchered off during pre-season game with Newcastle in South Korea. It reads, the injury was to the same knee that saw James Maddison miss last season's Europa League final. New Tottenham Hotspur head coach described the blow as brutal and what he expects to be Son Heung-min's last appearance for the club. James Maddison was stretchered off for Tottenham in their pre-season friendly draw with Newcastle United in South Korea in what Thomas Frank described as a brutal injury. Maddison was later pictured leaving the stadium on crutches. The Spurs midfielder came on as a 75th minute substitute and was only on the pitch for 9 minutes before he started hobbling intensely and appearing in real discomfort. Maddison looked distraught with his head in his hands as he was stretchered off the pitch. It was the same knee that saw the England international miss the end of last season, including Spurs' Europa League final triumph. After the game, Frank described Maddison's latest injury as a brutal, as it marred an emotional afternoon with departing Spurs captain Heung-min Son, who was given a guard of honour by both sets of players, who substituted off in his home country before his expected Spurs departure. I think sometimes in life and football, things can be both beautiful and brutal, said the Spurs boss. That's what we got today. It looks like with Madders a bad injury, and then on the other side, unbelievable scenes for Son from his teammates, and the respect from the Newcastle players. This is another injury setback for the midfielder, who had only just returned from a long-term knee problem sustained at the end of May. What does Maddison's blow mean for Spurs' summer plans? Tottenham were already looking for a new attacking midfielder in the transfer window. This Maddison blow, if as bad as feared, may mean they need a new one now. Spurs tried to bring in Morgan Gibbs-White from Nottingham Forest by activating his £60 million release clause, but Mariaka's side managed to prevent the deal from happening by threatening legal action against Tottenham and the player's agent, before then convincing the English international to sign a new contract. Attacking midfielder is also an area where Spurs are short. Dejan Kulusevski is set to miss the start of the season as he recovers from his knee injury he had in May, a knee surgery should I say as well. Departing captain Son as the attacking spot may also need to be replaced. Spurs do have a temporary attacking midfield solution in Papa Mate Sarr, who has been scoring from a more advanced position during pre-season, while new £55 million signing Mohamed Kudus can play in central areas too. With Destiny Adogi and Dominic Solanke also out injured at the moment, Spurs' injury problems that plagued that campaign last year have carried over into the current campaign. With new boss Thomas Frank looking to improve Spurs' ability to compete on multiple fronts, it's not the best start to life in North London for him in terms of injuries. So that is the second one. I mean, James Maddison's a massive blow for him. I mean, you just can't catch a break, can we? And I really feel sorry for Maddison. It must be really devastating for him. So of course, wish him a really speedy recovery. That was so many emotional things happened in this game. But if it wasn't already a priority, a number 10 absolutely has to be. I'd argue someone like an Eberechi Eze fits the profile of both, because he can play that left-hand side and can play that 10, so that's like signing two players in one. That's where, for me, you should spend more and give White money, but whether he wants Tottenham or not, whether he can hijack a potential deal, because he didn't talk to Arsenal, so it's whether we can hijack a deal, or whether he even count hijacks. It doesn't look like it's in advanced stages from reports, but that would, for me, be absolutely perfect. But yeah, there's no excuses now. We need to bring in an attacking player. Absolutely, with others leaving, I think still definitely Gill will leave. Solomon could leave, maybe, unlikely. Richarlison could leave too. Those two are less likely to happen. But Gill, you would have thought, would have left. No one's interested in him. But yeah, so Son, it's really sad. Goodbye to him. And Maddison's two sad stories, but one's that beautiful in the Son story. It's sad, but it's right, and it's it's sad in a different way, but Maddison, that's a huge blow to him, and he got filled for Thomas Frank as well. All that excitement going into new season. But those are your headlines, and those are my thoughts, or those are your articles, should I say. So as always, do get involved in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you, Chris Callan, for this opportunity. Please follow me at HarryScarfe22 across all socials. Also my YouTube channel, Harry Scarfe, which contains my own Tottenham podcast within, called the Scarfe Spurs podcast. I'm a proud regular here at Chris Callan's channel. I want to thank him for this opportunity, and make sure, as I said, you do like and subscribe. But up the Spurs for now.